Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. It's Greatest Royal Rumble predictions time. Did I say it right? WWE Greatest Royal Rumble predictions time.
From the beautiful city of Jeddah.
Isn't it lovely?
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's the new Tokyo Dome, people. I'm Ollie Davis. This is Luke Owen. Welcome to WrestleRamble, where we're actually coming from you, from Jeddah live. And we're there right now.
We are coming from the beautiful city of Essex. Is it? That's not a city, really, is it?
We're in Jeddah.
Are we actually? Are we going to kayfabe it that we're in
We've
Jeddah?
taken the backdrop with us. We've just put up a few T-shirts behind us. They have so much money. They're flying everyone out.
Flying everyone out, yeah.
So
Did you see the reported figure that they've been paid for the show?
I was going to get onto that. Yes. So this is PW Stream have said in the region, which this is a pretty big region.
It is quite a region, yeah.
100 to $200 million.
Which is a heck of a chunk of change. It's funny, I was listening to...
just for hosting the event.
Yes,
so
and...
not tickets or merch, just for putting it on.
And from what I can gather as well, from what I've heard and what I've read, the Saudi Arabia are also like helping fund the event as well. So like they paid them this much money to host the show, and then they're actually also covering some of the costs for the show itself, like the pyro and putting up the stage and things like that.
So it's going to be pyro.
I wouldn't... if there isn't pyro, I will be stunned.
Oh my god, that's the biggest WWE return of the year so far.
That was a
Move
WrestleMania.
aside Lashley. Oh yeah, I guess so. Non-WrestleMania things.
Yes.
Well, most of that's Brock Lesnar's paycheck, isn't it? So
yeah. So
that works out as not much of a profit in the end.
A lot of money is coming in.
So I also read on Jerry Lawler's Dinner with the King podcast, Jim Cornette was on and they were talking about the Greatest Royal Rumble event, and Cornette said, I don't know how he knows, but obviously he knows people, WWE is being paid millions and millions and millions of dollars, so it might genuinely be in that hundreds of millions range. But Jerry Lawler said he believes that includes, quote, a heck of a payoff for the women's roster. Because, of course, there won't be any women wrestling on the show because Saudi Arabia society doesn't want women in sports. It's not really culturally accepted over there. So yes, that it seems like WWE, if that is not just a rumor, they're at least giving something back to the women's wrestlers.
So they're being paid not to actually work.
Yes.
Well,
I mean, that's easy paycheck
to stay at home.
It's it's what all the old WCW guys did.
Exactly. It's the Kevin Nash school, man. It's paying off.
So this is controversial. We spoke about it in last Saturday's episode, how WWE say that they're all for women's rights and they're spearheading the women's revolution and equality, but then they've gone and done a deal with Saudi Arabia to put on the show where women won't be allowed to be on the show. And, you know, we both said that's very hypocritical and not gelling with the narrative they keep pushing down our throats, which is why it stings a bit bad. And a lot of people actually defended the decision, I saw.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I don't tend to read comments on YouTube anymore, but people did get in touch with me on Twitter to say that this is a good thing because perhaps this will invoke change. And, you know, the word is that the Saudi Arabia, Sheikh? Is it the guy?
It's Crown Prince.
Crown Prince, thank you.
Mohammed Bill something.
Bill Gates.
MBS. I know his initials.
Yes. Anyway, so it's...
Salman, yeah.
He apparently wants to try and westernize Saudi Arabia and bring it up to Western standards. So perhaps this is like the thing of like, hey, you know, we're putting on this WWE event. When we do this next year, maybe we'll actually have women performing it as well. But again, that there always comes back to that hypocritical thing of just like, if WWE are so into this whole idea of the women's revolution and like we're spearheading change in women's wrestling, despite the fact that companies have been doing this for a lot longer than we have, and you know they did all this sort of stuff quite a number of years before while we were still calling them divas. If this is the narrative that they're pushing, surely they'd have gone like, well, cool. We'll just do the show next year when we can have women on the show, and we're just going to make a public stance now that we won't do it. You know, you're going to pay us $200 million, but we're not going to do it now. We'll do it next year when your times have changed.
It's the old Groucho Marx quote. Here's my morals. Or no, here's my principles. If you don't like them, I've got others.
Yes.
So I was reading some of the criticism of our criticism, and I thought, you know what, that is a good point. Saudi Arabia are trying to make it more equal, and this is a, you know, maybe WWE can slowly work with them to make this happen over a long period of time. So change does not happen in a day.
Nope.
And when it does, it usually transpires to be completely disastrous, and it just reverts back harder to what it was before.
As we said last week, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah, or Roman. It's been 4 years. And I was thinking about this, and I'm all about the long-term plan, and I don't like to rush things, and everything usually good things take a while. But then I thought, what if this was black people? What if WWE ran a show where black people and white people were made to sit in separate parts of the arena, and no black wrestlers could perform? And I just thought, well, that's completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't have that visceral reaction when it was women, like it is at the moment. So, you can't. If you're offended by the idea of segregation by race or people not being allowed to perform based on the colour of their skin, the fact that they've got boobies should not, or Mark Henry aside or whatever, shouldn't really change that at all. So I'm standing firm on the initial criticism.
I completely agree as well. I was listening to Wrestling Observer Radio on the way into the studio today, and Dave Meltzer was bringing up the point that WCW did a show in North Korea, way back when.
The biggest wrestling show ever,
yes,
apparently.
But when they did their show in North Korea, they were never like, oh man, do you know who's great? North Korea. North Korea, it's a wonderful place to go. Whereas, and I haven't really considered this, but when you actually kind of play back the promos that they are doing for this show, it's like from the beautiful city of Jeddah, and all of the promotion that the company are doing is basically like, hey, do you know what's great? Saudi, it's wonderful.
It's a travel advert.
It's a travel advert. It's propaganda. And I've never really thought of this show as being propaganda, but that's basically what it is. It's incredible, really.
It's
that
really,
it's happening in 2018 and with this company.
It's quite something. There's a lot of things in play. Anyway, who really cares about all that stuff? Because Rusev is actually in a match against the Undertaker.
So this was very much a last-minute decision. We weren't really going to do a lot of coverage for the event because we basically just decided it's a house show, but WWE have told us not to care about it, so
I don't know, man. WWE have very much told us to care about it because that was all Raw and SmackDown promotions for this. Do you like this match? Nah, this is going to get shrunk into the corner while we run the same promo again for Greatest Royal Rumble.
But what I more mean is that Rusev hasn't cut a promo about a casket match with The Undertaker. And it feels like there's a lot of these matches that are just happening, as opposed to WWE like, whoa, you guys better tune in to Greatest Royal Rumble to see these matches. Really, their promotion has been like, man, it's in Jeddah, which is lovely. You better tune in.
I disagree. I think the weird big-time matches, your John Cena versus Triple H, The Undertaker versus Rusev, have not been pushed, weirdly, considering the name value of those people. But anything that involves a title really has been.
I suppose,
you've got the tag matches,
you're
going to get the final of the Raw, you're going to get new Raw Tag Team Champions for
from
definite.
The Tag Team Eliminator.
The United States title could go back to SmackDown, the Intercontinental back to Raw. I think that's right. I've lost track of all the titles. And Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns has been a hugely promoted program. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
But I still feel that the Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles thing was built into a match at Backlash.
Yes, without a doubt, yeah.
As opposed to building to a match here.
But it's
that
here.
Does make,
it
is. Yeah.
So this has been. So what we're saying is, a couple of weeks ago we didn't care about this, and slowly it has become the snowball we can't ignore anymore because we're definitely going to get new champions, at least with the tag belts. There's a very strong possibility the Universal title is going to change hands. So we cannot ignore it any longer. And Luke's away at the weekend, and it's at an awkward time on a Friday afternoon for us. So we're doing our prediction show now, and on Saturday we'll have the new format, Fantasy Booking Warfare, in place of the new show. So,
and we may do a review of it on Monday when I'm back,
if it's good,
if it's worthwhile.
So Rusev versus the Undertaker in a casket match.
Yeah, I think the Undertaker's winning here.
He's got to, hasn't he? I mean, that's all the... We can't really give any more insight because it hasn't got a story.
Again, that's kind of what I mean. Like, when we're giving these predictions, like, a lot of them I'm just like, nah, because I haven't really been given a reason to care. But I guess Undertaker wins?
But, as we were talking about earlier with the Impact Wrestling replacement stuff and title wins, the replacement usually gets the win in a wrestling match to show that, it's not all predetermined. But what about if it's a replacement back because you were already initially in the match?
Yeah, so you had a replacement, but then you went back to the original lineup.
The replacement was the person you replaced.
I think even if it was Chris Jericho, Undertaker is still winning.
Yes.
Yeah.
He ain't coming back just to lose. Or maybe he wants to put someone over. Maybe this
well,
last
sorry,
one.
I shouldn't have giggled there, but I don't think this is... Because this is... I mean, I don't want to give away too much of my feelings on this show, but I think this is going to be very much a babyface heavy thing. And Undertaker is like the icon, the legend. If you're doing this as a house show mentality, then yeah, I can see Undertaker winning this.
What do Saudi Arabia and Middle Eastern feelings towards Bulgarians?
I haven't a Scooby-Doo, mate.
Because maybe I don't know what the tensions are around there.
No.
But maybe you could really play up some foreign heel stuff.
Maybe.
I wonder how foreign heel stuff goes down in foreign countries. Like where I have no connection to either of the sides.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting, actually. See what kind of level of heat Rusev gets.
What if he gets Rusev Day chance?
Doesn't look like the smartest crowd. Smartest as in wise to the business, not IQ or intellect.
Yeah, from what I gather, what I read earlier is that the people who are perhaps you might say the marks, the actual people who are into wrestling, are very much kind of like tucked into one corner.
Yeah. So we're both going for Undertaker there.
Yeah.
John Cena versus Triple H.
Cena.
Yeah, you think Cena?
Yeah, I can see Cena winning this.
But Triple H is like the face of global expansion. I imagine Triple H is one of the people who's done a lot of legwork with MBS, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia.
Oh, really? It's funny because I actually thought this was all a Vince thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think even in the WWE's press releases, it's always been about how how Vince McMahon has been doing these. It's.
Oh, has it?
Yeah. So especially when it comes to this, the women's revolution and the narrative that Triple H and Stephanie McMahon push, it certainly is in keeping that it's Vince that is spearheading this little endeavor as opposed to Trips and Steph.
Well, that's interesting because I was reading up on the where is it? The 2018 Business Partner Summit.
Man, that just sounds like
Yeah.
what a thrilling weekend that was.
Well, so this took place on WrestleMania week, and it's WWE's big corporate event for their global partners. They invite everyone from around the world. Like you might get, I don't know, a French TV station who airs a cut down version of SmackDown every week. That'd be a WWE global partner.
Yeah, I used to create apps for these sorts of events. That was my job way back when.
So they had this on WrestleMania weekend, but they've uploaded the full, hour plus event to WWE's corporate website, not WWE.com. I love that exists. It's like corporate.WWE, nice. Like WWE has turned heel and has The Rock not doing all his usual catchphrases. But Triple H, one of the highlights was this term, global localization.
So that it was come up in a boardroom somewhere with a marketing team of what it is we're trying to accomplish.
And it's actually been trademarked, apparently, by WWE.
Yep.
And Triple H was the guy, like he said in the talk, like, I came up with this name. And the concept is to develop NXT and WWE brands around the world to create a global territorial system. And that will involve making customized shows for countries WWE is looking to expand in, filmed in the native language and using local hosts. And that would in turn act as a feeder system for WWE in the US. This was something that was actually proposed about a decade ago.
Yeah.
I think by Shane McMahon.
I think it was one of his ideas. Yeah.
But now they scrapped it, but now it's Triple H's idea.
Oh,
and he invented it.
Yeah, what a genius that man is.
So yeah, Triple H. I think you're right though, John Cena.
Yeah, I think this is a Cena win.
Everyone will know if the crowd know anyone, even above the Undertaker. I think it'll be John Cena. I think John Cena and Rey Mysterio are going to be the most popular.
Yeah, I forgot about Reg.
So we're both going Cena there.
Cena.
Cedric Alexander versus Kalisto. This is for the Cruiserweight Championship.
Yeah, I can see it as Cedric Alexander retention on this one. Yeah.
I'm surprised Mustafa Ali didn't get in there for a WrestleMania rematch.
Yeah.
Because I know he's from Chicago or something, but the
don't-
way WWE's mind works, he is
I was
of
gonna
Middle
say,
Eastern heritage.
I think you and I might have said this last time, but apparently it isn't. He doesn't have that connection.
Oh, he doesn't?
No.
What connection does he have?
He's, I believe it's Pakistani. Which
Okay.
is very different.
Well, I'm...
You're
but
daft racist.
I'm not. I'm saying WWE will just see that half of the globe they have as one place.
I mean, let's be honest. This was a company that once put D'Lo Brown in a turban.
Exactly. Oof. So you're thinking Alexander retains Kalisto. I'm going to go Kalisto.
Well, I think it's too soon for Cedric to drop the belt. And I think him dropping the belt now would be utterly pointless after doing all that big tournament lark to crown a new champion. For him then to drop it like only a couple of weeks later.
Drop it like it's hot.
Yeah.
I think masks sell. And Kalisto has a mask.
He does.
Reverse engineering the thought process.
Yep.
So there's speculation that up to 4 belts could change hands here.
Really?
It could be a real noteworthy show.
Wow.
Which is, one of the reasons we have to cover it.
Yeah. They forced our hand.
Of all the titles that could change hands, I think this is definitely one of the lower down the pecking order that could easily be changed.
I could see it. Yeah.
So I'm going to go Kalisto. Mm-hmm. Next up, we have the Bludgeon Brothers versus the Usos. No Naomi, of course, to help them this time.
And I feel like I've just ignored what you said, but I was going to go with a Bludgeon Brothers retention. On a house show, heels do often win. I could see the Bludgeon Brothers retaining here.
I agree. Do you think the Usos will come out with face paint? Just go to the most friendly gimmicks possible?
Yeah, go back to their old Usos gimmick.
I think it's definitely a Bludgeon Brothers retention here. Just, I don't think they would sacrifice that run just yet.
Yeah.
But interestingly...
Also, Naomi's not there to kind of like scupper them, and I think that's the storyline they want to be telling when you go into pay-per-views like Backlash and whatever comes after that.
Yeah.
Backlash.
Interestingly, the other tag title match isn't as clear-cut as we thought. Because we were talking about this on SmackDown, where we were like, oh, so what are the rules? So the Bar can go back to Raw if they win the tag team titles?
Yes.
And then there was discussion, well, why isn't that the same for the United States title belt with Jinder? Like, why wouldn't Jinder go to SmackDown?
Yeah.
And this is because the tag team title belts are either Raw or SmackDown. They can't move. But the US and Intercontinental title can.
Apparently so, yes.
So, still, Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy versus The Bar, Cesaro and Sheamus for the vacant. So, versus vacant, it's a 3-way for the Raw tag team titles.
I've gone first last couple of times.
I think we're going to say the same. I'm going for Wyatt and Hardy.
Yeah, the deleter of worlds is where I'm going.
Just because I think there's more mileage in them, and I want to see The Bar on SmackDown. I don't want to see them go back to Raw.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay. Jeff Hardy versus Jinder Mahal. So this is a belt that could change brands, the United States
title. Yes, this does add a bit of a... And again, this is the sort of thing that if WWE had told us in advance that these sorts of things could possibly happen, like, we might have cared. Like, we might have cared about the outcome. But as it stands, I don't care about either of these matches because I've been almost like told not to.
Is it that you don't care, or is it that you don't buy into it because there hasn't been much focus in a title change?
Yeah, I mean, perhaps either way. But it does feel like if the storyline was, oh, hey, if Jinder Mahal wins the United States Championship, we get the United States Championship back on Raw. Or, we get the United States Championship on Raw. But that's not really been kind of said. It's just Jinder has said, I want to win it and then go back to SmackDown. And then Kurt said no. So, like... what am I supposed to know about this match other than they're having it?
Yeah, I think it's. But this is the sort of thing they could just change their mind on.
Yeah, totally could be, and that's what I mean. Like, and knowing now, well, at least we think we know that if Jinder wins and the United States Championship does go to Raw, that then throws up the question of like, well, maybe one of the SmackDown guys is going to win the IC belt. Like, maybe The Miz will win to get the record-breaking 9th championship reign. Or Joe wins.
And you build up a champion versus champion match for Backlash.
Which is a week later.
Yes, what a build.
What a build.
I like that idea. I'm going to go Jinder wins. because it's the same area of the world,
but
right?
But at the same time, SmackDown has been building a storyline between Jeff and Randy, which would appear to be I'm going for a Jeff retention here.
Well, maybe Randy could win it back. Randy can win it back at Backlash.
Off Jinder.
And Roman can win the IC belt off Joe.
Yep.
And you make it for both titles at Backlash.
Yeah, maybe. Well, that is certainly a way around it as
Roman
well.
ends up with 2 of the top titles.
Yep, and then you can continue the Jeff and Randy story that just had this little blip in there where we had to appease some Saudi Arabia.
You're welcome.
Where we had to appease all of Saudi Arabia, I suppose.
So who are you going for?
This pay-per-view is it's so weird, and it's thrown such a spanner in all the works.
It's come at a weird time, hasn't it? Like, this would be fine if it was about 3 months from now.
Yeah, that's fine a really interesting point, yeah.
Fine in a non-equality sense, just from a wrestling storyline standpoint.
Yeah.
But to come so close to WrestleMania, so close to the Superstar Shake-Up, so close to the first co-branded
1 week before
event.
Backlash. Such a weird time to do this. What a weird show. This is going to be one of these pay-per-views that we're going to look back on in 5 years' time being like, do you remember the Greatest Royal Rumble?
Yeah.
What a weird show that was.
Do you remember those 2 years where before Saudi Arabia ran out of money and WWE were doing shows there that cost ridiculous amounts of money?
Yeah.
So who are you going for?
I'm going for... Man, I mean, again, it feels like I've just ignored your potential story source that there's going to be upwards of 4 title changes.
I am throwing darts here, blind.
I know. I mean, wait till we get to the Royal Rumble match. Who do you pick in? Okay, well, I'm going for a Jeff retention.
You're going for Jeff.
Only because it makes storyline sense for him to retain. But perhaps that's just me being incredibly naive by thinking about storylines.
You've really got to approach this event as belts, as cheap crowd pops.
Yeah, some crowd pops. Yeah, get some cheap heat by putting it on Jinder.
This is crazy, isn't it? This is like
a wacky show.
It's like I thought I didn't care about it, and I didn't, and then we do care about it because we're making the video, and we're like, oh, things might actually happen. But as we're going through it, I don't care. It's so weird.
But we're doing this. You and I are making this video because it's our job.
Yes.
As opposed to, we're like, oh man, WrestleMania's coming up. Got to make a video about that because I've invested in all of these storylines and I've got to make my predictions. We're doing this because this is literally what we're paid to do.
And we really resisted doing it. For about a week.
I know, it's tomorrow.
We decided to do this half an hour ago.
I know, we've been recording for 22 minutes. Half an hour ago, we decided to make this video.
Yes. Right. So, that's the preface. If all of this goes... I don't... These are stupid predictions on my part.
I was going to say...
But if they all go right, hey, I'm a genius.
Oh, you are a genius, man.
So is this... I mean, it obviously is canon, but for us, is it canon? Not that we ever follow through on any punishments.
Oh, no, on our predictions. How did your prediction in January go?
Exactly. Okay, so I lost Royal Rumble. I lost WrestleMania overall.
Yeah. And lost Fantasy Booking Warfare.
But I have yet to face any penance for it.
This is what happens when you're in charge, man.
That's what happens when Grado's in charge.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Maybe corporate just made an error by putting Grado in charge.
I think he's going to come down on me with just 6 months of punishments all at once. Okay, so AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWF Championship.
So which championship?
The WWE Championship.
All right, 1999.
I never do that anymore. That's a weird slip to make.
Oh, crikey.
So I was trying to that's where the women's equality is in it's a rubbish joke.
Anyway, do you want to go first?
No.
I'll go AJ.
You're going AJ?
Yeah. I feel like I'm going full retention here, more or less.
I just don't know how you beat Nakamura here.
Because it's non-canon.
But it is canon.
But he can win it at Backlash, and it won't matter as much that he lost here. If this was Backlash, then I would probably be going for Nakamura. But because this is this weird sort of house show thing, I can't... But, actually, you know what? Saying that, they are trying to make this a big deal. What's a bigger deal than having the WWE Championship change hands? So, yeah, maybe it could be a Nakamura win.
That is definitely a consideration, although I think that's somewhat lessened by me really thinking Brock's losing the belt in the main event. But Nakamura is on fire right now. Has been since that low blow. Not in the WrestleMania match, but everything after the WrestleMania match. That bell, and AJ's bell. Everything since, Nakamura has been the best thing in WWE for me. And even though it's non-canon, even though very few people are probably actually going to watch it in comparison to a normal pay-per-view, just because of the time it's on the WWE network.
It's also on demand.
Yeah, but like that's a lot. That's a lot fewer than people who would tune in and watch it live.
Very true. Because it starts like 9 a.m. on the East Coast.
Right. Yeah. So I just don't. Okay,
West
if
Coast.
AJ wins, how do you play that match so Nakamura isn't damaged
So if AJ wins,
or doesn't lose this great momentum he's got at the moment?
I
feel
hear
like-
what you're saying.
I feel like AJ loses, but not clean. So Nakamura gets a low blow in behind the referee's back. Everyone's really angry
Yeah.
in the crowd, but then it ends on a high with Reigns winning.
Perhaps, but also,
You bring him down and you bring him up again.
but for me, perhaps this is just me. Perhaps I might think about this too logically. But I always,
that's your
again, this
mistake.
is my mistake. I felt that the way this storyline was heading was that we were going to get this championship match where Nakamura goes to do the phenomenal ball arm, but hurts his arm because AJ is wearing a metal cup, and that's the payoff of all these ball shots week after week.
Do you think that's that's a comedy spot? That's like a comedy version of Bret Hart's.
Yeah, exactly. You do
reveal-
like, yeah,
but it's a silly version. I feel like this is a really good blood feud. I wouldn't add
I don't know.
that comedy bit to
this
it.
is WWE.
Oh dear. So I'm going for Nakamura.
Yeah, that's fine. And to be honest, if Nakamura won, I do not think I would be too upset about that.
Okay, so a ladder match, quite exciting, and cross brands as well for the Intercontinental title. Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe versus The Miz.
So with you going for Jinder earlier in the night, are you going to go for one of the SmackDown 2 in this match between Mizzles and Joseph?
So, Jesus. My logic and overall plan has crumbled. I'm thinking about... Okay, I'm going to stick to my weird, inaccurate guns.
Your title versus title,
Joe.
Randy Jinder,
I'm
yeah.
going Joe for reasons already explained.
Yeah.
These guys, though, in a ladder match, be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Rollins will just, like, kill himself. Balor's great.
Yeah.
Joe's awesome. Miz has been in ladder matches before.
He has been. Do you know what? Miz has had matches.
Miz does line at ringside while there's a ladder match going on really well.
He's one of the best at it.
Yeah, yeah.
Him and Randy Orton are two of my favourite people to watch in ladder matches. Randy Orton in particular, because he is the safest ladder match participant you've ever seen.
So I'm not doing that.
I'm not going anywhere near it.
Well,
I'm just going to stay around here. And if I am being thrown off the ladder, I'm on the second rung.
As opposed to Kevin Owens, who I feel on purposely tries to position ladders and then throws his back on them in the worst possible way.
Yeah. And again, this is an interesting quandary because Seth has just won the belt. So do you take the belt off of him straight away? Kind of, and it's that United States Championship thing as well. Like someone pointed out that the length of reigns that we've had over since Bobby won the belt, actually since Dolph won the belt, and then Baron Corbin, then Dolph won it, and then Bobby won it, and then Randy won it, and then Jeff's won it, and then you've changed, and then Jinder won it, and then you just keep changing the belt. And I was like, actually, it doesn't really matter who's champion anymore. Are you going to get that if you just keep chopping and changing the IC belt as well? Seth won it, then 3 weeks later, he's just dropping it to someone else. But I feel like I've gone for far too many retentions, so I'm going to say Finn Balor. I'm going to say
okay.
Balor wins.
Okay. It'd be interesting to see, because they were buddy-buddy on Raw this week. They teamed together, and that was, completely scraps all the Balor-Rollins professional feuding that they had going up to WrestleMania, which is, for me, one of the best things on the show.
Are you trying to say they're the Sasha and Bailey of the men's division?
Not that bad. Nothing's that bad. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns in a steel cage match for the Universal title.
And again, that's what I mean, man. You want to make this feel like a real big deal. You've got to You've got a casket match. You've got the greatest Royal Rumble, a 50-man Royal Rumble. You've got John Cena versus Triple H. And now we've got a ladder match. And now we have got a steel cage match. They are pulling out stops, man, to make this feel like it's WrestleMania 3 weeks after WrestleMania.
WrestleMania Part 2.
Well, you know how you have like the Raw after Mania and the SmackDown after Mania? This is the Mania after Mania. The Royal Rumble after Mania.
So what are you going to go for? You go first this time.
I
think I've done too many title changes. Now I'm clocking them up in my head. All title
changes. I do think they're going to go with the Roman Reigns win here. Maybe Brock's deal was just a one-match thing. And aside from that, we were talking about how like it's you make the argument that it's non-canon. At least I've made the argument that it's non-canon in terms to if Nakamura doesn't win the WWE Championship, which will be it feels like the 20th time that he's challenged for the belt and not won it. If Roman loses again in this match, like, you may as well just pull the plug.
Yeah.
So I feel like Roman has to win here. Otherwise, this is almost like a completely pointless... I mean, it's been a relatively pointless push anyway, because it's not really been clicking with anyone. But I think Roman has to win here. I'm going with a Reigns win. I think Reigns is being coronated. That they're going to have the big pyro. They're going to have a wonderful shot of him winning the championship in beautiful Jeddah. And they're going to be able to use this promo image for the rest of time when pushing Roman Reigns as this all-time great in the ring.
And they'll edit it into WrestleMania 34.
Maybe, yeah.
All those video packages. Everything you just said, and I'm going to add on another reason for Brock Lesnar losing is I genuinely believe he's going to UFC. He's definitely going to have, well, not definitely, but all the reports and all the contract details indicate that Brock is going to have at least one more match in UFC while still being in a working relationship with WWE. Dana White said as much going into WrestleMania weekend. The fact that he stayed with WWE after Mania and that he retained for just a few weeks doesn't write off that UFC match.
It does not.
He's a 40-year-old man. He's gonna have to have like a 6-month break from wrestling to build up his body and get in the USADA testing pool before he can fight again. UFC want him to have that fight. I'm sure he wants to because he'll get a huge payday off of it. So I think Lesnar needs to drop the title sooner rather than later so he can return to UFC in that time frame because his age is a big factor now.
Yeah, I can almost see that this was a very much last-minute call that was made. Morning of Royal Rumble, or maybe the Monday before Royal Rumble, they suddenly looked at it and was like, you know what? Roman isn't going to get the coronation that we want at WrestleMania because what we want is an adoring applause and fans and pyro and whatnot. We're not going to get that at WrestleMania, so we'll sign you for one more, like an extension. We'll do it as this big old swerve thing because everyone's expecting him to win at WrestleMania, and then we'll do the title change at Greatest Royal Rumble instead. I can hear that meeting taking place, and then the word has it Roman was told on the day of WrestleMania that was now the new plan. So yeah, I could see that being the case, and I think that Reigns is going to get the belt here. And from what I can gather and what people have said and what people have written, the VIP section here are just people who want to see, they're going to cheer basically who they're told to cheer, more or less.
So we're both going for Reigns. I'm just looking back over all those matches. Bludgeon Brothers are my only retention.
Nice.
I've got like 6 title changes on this show.
It's going to be the most newsworthy show ever if you get your way.
I'm sure the women's title will change hands as well. Just not in that country.
What are they doing on the kickoff show? Because I know we're not having a match. Well, at least they haven't announced they're having a match. They might have one.
Oh, Undertaker. He's opening the curtain.
Yeah, they're doing that on the pre-show. The hour-long pre-show with Byron Saxton.
I'm sure they'll just have some fascinating, in-depth questions tweeted in by WWE Universe fans.
Well, also that they've got to talk about how lovely the place is.
Oh, yes. It's like a little travel vlog with Byron Saxton.
Yeah.
Great. So, we also have one more match that I keep on kind of forgetting about.
It's because no one's told us anything about it.
Despite the whole point of the show, like, the name-wise is about it. It's the 50-man Royal Rumble match, which is the largest Royal Rumble match WWE have ever done. I don't know how long it's going to take because the intervals are going to be hopefully the intervals will be quite fast.
Well, yeah, this is a 5-hour show. And I think, excluding the pre-show.
So there's an intermission as well.
Yes, there's an intermission as well.
An hour-long intermission for prayer.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that. At least that's an hour.
Oh, that
includes.
Maybe, or is that included in the 5-hour show?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
So the people we have confirmed by WWE.com as of the time of this recording, as participants are Daniel Bryan, Braun Strowman, Kurt Angle, Shane McMahon, Chris Jericho, Mark Henry, Rey Mysterio, Elias, Kevin Owens, Great Khali, Bobby Roode, Baron Corbin, Big E, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, Apollo Crews, Shelton Benjamin, Sin Cara, Chad Gable, Goldust, Titus O'Neil, Mojo Rawley, and Dolph Ziggler.
And if you look at the promo poster that they've got, it's available on WWE.com and all over the place, really. Basically, anyone who's a male member of the roster has also been confirmed. The Revival are on the poster, Breezango are on the poster. Like, everyone is essentially on the poster. So, although these are the only... Like, that's what, about 15, maybe 20 names?
Yeah, 20, I think.
Yeah, so there's 30-odd names still to be filled in there. I'd imagine that Rusev will be in there. Basically, all the participants on the undercard will be in there as well. John Cena will likely be in it. Triple H will likely be in it. Because we've got numbers to fill. Roman Reigns will probably be in it.
Yeah. And win that
and
as
win
well.
It, yeah, exactly.
And apparently you were telling me they're going to have a few spots for Saudi Arabian tryout.
Oh,
people?
yes. So that was one of the reports I read. Yes, they've done like these tryouts in Saudi Arabia, and they've kind of like signed 8 people to developmental deals, and those 8 will be in the Royal Rumble match.
Which is a great idea. They do it when they come to the UK. They'll have a few local wrestlers do the do the dark matches and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just gets the crowd excited. I think that's a great idea,
Mm-hmm.
and it gives the Saudi Arabian audience more of a connection to them.
Maybe one of them will win.
Yes.
I mean, you laugh, but it's a house show, so like one of them could win.
Well, we don't know what's on the line.
No.
Nothing is on the line at the moment. I mean, it would be great to see a Money in the Bank title match as decided off of this, because that's the next one. A lot of people said SummerSlam, but I feel like that will hamstring stuff too far away. Money in the Bank is the next of the new big 5, those destination weekends that WWE put on. In my head, I was like, Daniel Bryan's winning this. I want Daniel Bryan to win it. I think he's the best one to do it. But now I have looked through the list. I've changed my mind.
Interesting.
Based on Raw this week. Braun Strowman.
Oh, you think Brawny the Strowman's winning?
I don't know if I think Braun's winning. I think he should win. He is on fire right now. The crowd are so behind him. And Daniel Bryan, as much as I love him and that he's back, it's not as strong, is it? It's not like as visceral, that connection, because he's being booked in these big cast feuds. Whereas Braun Strowman is being booked to the moon. Just put that rocket that you already have attached to him, put some of that NOS gas that they use in Fast and Furious, where they click a button and they go even faster for a bit. I want that for him. And there are a lot of people for Braun to eliminate here. So he could break because what happens in this Royal Rumble match? Will that count for all the stats that WWE love to put out?
The stat video next year
for their January Royal Rumble matches, because then they can easily say Braun Strowman has broken the record for most Royal Rumble eliminations by eliminating 49 people.
Yeah, if he comes out at number 1 and just throws people left, right, and centre, that'd be
not a bad idea. Not all 49, but it's not a bad idea.
Yeah. So you're going with Braun?
I'm going for Braun. I think, was it 13 is the record held by Roman?
Yeah, or is it 14?
In a single match.
It's like 13 or 14 or something like that.
And who are you going for?
I'm going John Cena. It's a really cynical choice, but I'm going John Cena. I have no other justification of it other than he is a popular name, and that will get a good crowd reaction. As I said, it's a totally cynical way of looking at it, but hey, it is.
I was just seeing how long I could not speak, and how many awkward gaps you would fill.
No, I was just wondering if that was my edit point.
Oh, no. Well, I guess it would be.
Now I'm going to be super confused when I go to edit this thing.
But yeah, that's any other thoughts on the Greatest Royal Rumble?
No. If you've got some crap gimmicks that you want to send to us, it's luke@wrestletalk.com. I've got quite a backlog of them anyway, but if you want to send any more, I can add them to that backlog, and I go through them and I pick out the ones that I think that have the best opportunity of getting signed.
What are crap gimmicks, Luke? For new WrestleRamble viewers, I feel like we've got a new audience base because the numbers have jumped up by about 10,000 all of a sudden.
Well, crap gimmicks is a gimmick that we came up with. We started to why aren't there more wrestlers like there were in the 90s when you were a wrestler and a blank? And so people just started sending us crap gimmick ideas. We've got a fairly sizable roster now full of, and if we like them enough, we sign them to the crap gimmick roster, and then they become what they are.
So people like the fishmonger, who comes out dressed as a fishmonger in like a yellow coat.
He was the original.
Yeah, it's not a very good gimmick though. I don't know why that got in.
It's so good.
Fisherman suplex, stuff like that. Beastmaster, which we referenced on the WrestleTalk news, who can harness the power of 5 different animals. You don't know which one you're going to get. WrestleBot 3000,
something like that. Yeah.
He's just programmed to wrestle, but he's actually in love with a woman.
Yeah, I remember that.
But anyway, yes.
Yeah, so here we've got, this has been sent in from Matthew Perry. Thank you so much for the shout out in an earlier podcast. Everywhere I go, people ask me if I've seen the show Friends and if Chandler is my favourite character. The answer is obviously yes.
I bet he loves that.
I'm
I
sure.
bet he's like, it will never get old.
No.
When people ask me.
If people say oh my, like Friends, he's like, do you know what? I haven't heard that one before.
What's Friends?
Well, I mean, do you remember that article that came out? It was like, millennials have just discovered Friends and they are shocked by some of the jokes. And I was like, you idiots, millennials watched Friends when it first aired.
Yeah, millennials is our age, right? I don't know what people born in the noughties are actually called.
Generation Z.
Oh, I feel that was before, wasn't it?
No, it was Generation X and Y.
Right.
And then we were millennials.
Generation Y was Fight Club, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
And we're
millennials.
We're millennials because we were born after 1980, but before the turn of the millennium.
Sure.
And then I think people born after, I'm pretty sure they're Gen Zs.
Gen Zs.
Yeah.
What comes after Gen Z? You've run out of letters.
I don't know, but you got like baby boomers, so you
yes.
millennials. You just come up with a different wacky name for them, I guess.
So yeah.
Anyway,
sorry,
that's off topic.
Back in.
So here's crap gimmick suggestion. Keeping in the theme with my last D&D related email. This is a gimmick that speaks directly to me. My crap gimmick is actually a stable of wrestlers, each representing a class in D&D and using the moveset to match. For those unaware, D&D's Dungeons and Dragons. It's a role-playing game. The Barbarian uses high power and aggression. The Fighter uses weapons around ringside and is the best technical wrestler of the group. The Monk is a hard-hitting strong style. The Rogue uses dirty tactics to win, similar to Eddie Guerrero. And the Bard is the mouthpiece of the group, playing random instruments during the match to rally his teammates. And they could be called the Adventure Party.
That's good.
Yeah.
I really like it. I like the visual of them all walking around doing a kind of fantasy-like speak, like a kind of Shakespearean verbiage, and how much that would not gel with the rest of the roster. And they'll look stupid within the larger context of things.
Yes.
I don't like the name The Adventure Party, though.
Well, no, the problem with this is that there's a really, really good Dungeons & Dragons podcast. If you are a D&D player and you like to sort of listen to other people playing D&D, there's a really great podcast called Dragon Friends, which I just think is it's almost the best name really for
That's a good name.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
It's so I don't think you get anything better than Dragon Friends.
Quest Buddies.
Quest Buddies, yeah.
So, yeah. I
100% want to sign this.
To developmental, because we need to work on the name.
Perhaps.
So to a developmental contract,
Yep.
we'll do the...
I can't really do the pose because you're pointing. So Sam Fisher also sent in a similar idea, but our last crap
his
gimmick
wasn't good enough.
Well, it wasn't as detailed as Chandler from Friends is.
Luke deemed Fisher's email not worthy.
You're
like the John Laurinaitis now. Take all the heat off of me.
Should I do it like John Laurinaitis? Caleb Brandon has suggested Chris the Crook. So this is our last crap gimmick for the day. Caleb Brandon suggests Chris the Crook. He is your stereotypical crook from films. He wears a black and white striped top, black trousers, and shiny black shoes. He has a long curly mustache, and this is the only bit I don't understand, grey face paint over his skin, and a bowler hat. I don't really think that,
grey face paint over his skin.
Yeah, and I don't really remember like criminals wearing bowler hats. That just seems like more of an English thing.
It's they have the beanies, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a bit of a weird
So he has a
touch.
long curly mustache when he enters. His entrance theme is the theme song from the Pink Panther, and he enters in tiptoeing around the ring with a big bag over his shoulder, presumably that says swag written on it, or a big dollar sign. Before every match, he monologues how he will beat his opponent and plans to steal titles from the champions. He has no finisher as he attempts to steal his opponents.
I really like this as
Yeah.
a visual. Actually, reading that back, maybe the grey face paint, he's getting it mixed up with mimes, and then kind of also 1920s cinema with a Chaplin bowler hat. Seems like a mismatch of ideas. But I like the idea of a stereotypical crook.
Yeah, with the big bag. Yeah.
And, he steals the victory.
Yes. Yeah, I
Yes.
like that. I like Caleb.
yeah.
I like Chris the Crook.
Chris the Crook, I've signed him.
And we've got mailbag questions. If you want to submit a mailbag question to the WrestleRamble for us to answer on the Saturday or Thursday show in this case, then become a pledge hammer by backing us on Patreon. You can send us messages on Patreon, although I wouldn't overly suggest that because it's not the best email system in the world. But we also have our Ramble community there where you can join in and speak with other like-minded wrestling fans.
Is that what they're called, Ramble Community? I thought
We did come up with another
they're
name.
Pledge Hammers.
Well, they're pledge hammers.
Pledge
But
hammers.
they also have like their own little community. But there's so many posts that go up there every day. We try and get involved as much as we can do. So here are some of the questions that we have had from our pledge hammers. Nicolo Mantando, who sounds like a wrestler in himself, has asked in, do you think Dave Meltzer will someday be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame? I think he might be an inductee a few years from now as an outside journalist, but I don't know if WWE would like to recognize his work so openly. I think he deserves it, but I don't see it happening, to be honest. What do you think?
Absolutely not. And I'm a bit bored of all the Hall of Fame questions because it really means nothing. It's a marketing thing. It's not based on any actual metrics. Definitely a lot of people who are in there deserve to be in a wrestling Hall of Fame, but that accolade is completely trashed by seeing the larger group of everyone else who's in there. So do I think Dave Meltzer will someday be inducted? No, because I don't think, like you said, WWE would ever do it. Does he deserve to be inducted? It's a moot question. It's because there's nothing to deserve. It's a made-up place. So,
well, the only other thing I would add to that, because I do more or less agree, is that on a recent NXT conference call, Triple H was putting over Dave Meltzer as.
Was he?
Oh yeah, did you not hear this?
I didn't hear this.
Yeah, Triple H was like putting him over huge because Dave Meltzer came to ask a question on behalf of the Wrestling Observer, and Triple H wanted to thank him for all the hard work that he did on the Andre the Giant documentary and how he really helped shape that documentary into what it is. So I could almost see that, like, if Triple H does get the book, so to speak, whether those sorts of times might change. Whether we won't have a memo that goes around saying like, "Hey, can everyone bury Dave in your tweets when you're tweeting out stuff?"
That's the game. The game's
The
playing
game.
you, man. That's a work. That's not a
you reckon?
shoot, brother. He's saying that on an NXT call to get our style of fans excited.
Maybe.
He hates it. He hates it. He is old school wrestling.
Okay.
He wants kayfabe still in place, probably.
Maybe. But anyway, Ryan Sanders writes in another question about the Women's Tag Team Championships. Would you have one title across both brands or two titles for Raw and SmackDown?
I never thought about this. I think it would be... I think one... First of all, there's not enough women to do this as two separate tag divisions on Raw and SmackDown. But actually, if you make it a joint one where they can cross over and fight each other in both brands, that actually opens it up a lot more and enables a lot more potential for storytelling. I actually didn't know I wanted a single title across two brands. Usually I'm against that because I want the brands separate. But in this case, I think it would work.
Yeah, I agree with that because the rosters are so small, and at least then when you have got like the combined rosters, then but it doesn't make it a bit of a gimmick. I don't know, but yeah, I could see it working both ways.
It gives a lot of women something to do. Who would, if you're not in like the top two singles feuds on your brands, if the brand has that many going, there's still like 6 women then who are beneath that, who are just in meaningless matches every week.
Yeah.
At least those matches could now play into a tag team format. And you give two people something to do rather than just one. It's like a good killer of one stone with multiple birds. Last question.
Okay, well, let me pick out which.
A good one.
This one from Adam Mercer is an interesting one. I usually agree with most of your views, but how can you say Nakamura is the best thing in WWE? I agree that his recent refresh/presentation is a step in the right direction, but his in-ring performances have been underwhelming at best. How can you overlook his disappointing dream match with Styles at WrestleMania and his main roster performances that preceded it? From a wrestling standpoint, he pales in comparison to the New Japan Nakamura.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we agree, Adam, that Nakamura's main roster run was very subpar up until when that bell rang at WrestleMania.
Yes.
But everything he's done since WrestleMania has been superb. Like, he hasn't had a big-time wrestling match to showcase what he can still do, if he can still do it like he did in New Japan. But what he has done is wrestle very effectively as a heel, trying to get away from AJ, the low blows, just the physicality of the low blow. That's a huge part of wrestling, to give your character, tell it through physicality. And when he's delivering those low blows with such weird force, and he's using his whole body to do it, that's as much as wrestling as a whole match.
Mm-hmm. And the facials that he does as well. Yeah.
The facials. I agree with you that everything that Nakamura did pre-WrestleMania low blow on Styles was very disappointing. Not very disappointing, but subpar to very disappointing.
It wasn't what we were hoping for.
But everything since then, I think, has been absolutely brilliant and is genuinely my favourite thing in WWE. So
yeah, and I
can have that and not have it tainted by everything that came before.
It's a bit like the Sami Zayn heel turn. Sami Zayn was basically treading water for the entirety of his main roster run outside of the Kevin Owens Battlegrounds match,
yes,
I think it
2016.
was. Yeah, so he was treading water, but as soon as he turned heel and he just completely reinvigorated his character, all that treading water stuff was mostly forgotten about. And you're like, oh wow, I really like this new Sami Zayn. The only other thing that I would add to that as well is that the dream match was one of the biggest disappointments from WrestleMania. But again, as I argued on the WrestleMania review, and I've argued since, I don't think it wasn't designed to be a 5-star match because it was the first in a series. And if you're first in a series, you don't do your best match first, because then all you're doing is you're trying to top it each and every time, and that's difficult to do. So you actually just play it safe by having a average match to begin with, and then you do the better matches at the end of the program.
Oh, I disagree with that, because you can have a very good match and still have stuff in the tank. Like, I'm thinking Finn Balor, AJ Styles at TLC. They had a really, really good match. Mm-hmm. A lot of people said, wow, match of the year candidate. It was in no way a match of the year candidate that year. But they made it really entertaining while making me want to see more. Mm-hmm. They kept enough stuff back, enough stuff that they could riff on in the next outing. So you can do an exciting match as a first match.
No, I'm not saying.
And the other problem was that match was billed as a dream match.
That was the problem. Is the build towards it was like it's a once in a lifetime thing. You're only going to see this match here at WrestleMania because it's the dream match. So the build didn't help. If they hadn't pushed this as like it's a one match thing, and this is just the start of a program, then we wouldn't have gone in expecting a 5-star classic. We'd have gone in expecting the first match in the series. And you are right, you can definitely have excellent matches, and they probably could have had a better match than they had. But also, I wasn't expecting it. Looking back at it now, we shouldn't have expected it to be the match that eventually it was. Right? No, we shouldn't have expected the match we thought it was going to be.
But that's not our fault.
No, I know. I've never said it was our fault. And I said that at WrestleMania, and I said that since. It was never our fault. It was the way that the match was presented.
Cool. So it's WWE's fault.
Yeah, just do it better.
Normal. That's all we've got time for in this Thursday episode of WrestleRamble. We will be back on Saturday.
It's weird because we record these on a Thursday.
Yeah. It's nice to be synchronized with the time frame for once.
Yeah.
We will be back on Saturday, though, with a new way of doing Fantasy Booking Warfare. We're both going to have our own videos. That's to make it fairer, because sometimes people watch the first one and they won't watch the second one.
Yeah, we found that retention time on those videos, people tend to watch whoever goes first and then turns off.
Yeah, so we're going to do it as 2 separate videos, but it will still be like the full thing, but it probably end up being longer actually.
Yeah.
But yes, tune around for that, or stay around for that, and click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk videos. Subscribe to this YouTube channel and the podcast version wherever you get your podcasts, because they have an exclusive intro and outro for them that you might miss out on. This has been Luke Owen, I've been Ollie Davis, and that was Rambling.